Hello everybody, and welcome to SARA TV. I'm your host here tonight, Derek Robinson. Clay Snyder is your producer, and you are watching the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series at Phoenix. This 2008 version. Tonight we are here for qualifying night for the Race1.us qualifying night for the Super Late Model Series in preparation for the Copper World Summer Classic next week. For next Thursday for 150 laps of super late model action at Phoenix Raceway. Currently the drivers are out there getting their last warm-up laps in before we do open qualifying here tonight. We'll do single car runs, and the field has been randomized as far as who will get to go out first to last. Currently Adam Benefield, Joe Schaefer Jr., and David Kekorian are your top three in the practice charts for qualifying. Now, before we move to any further for tonight's race here for race action, last week, if you were with us, you got to see Zach Novak scoring his first career win at New Smyrna. Jimmy Mullis was giving him a good battle throughout the whole race as Zach Novak led 94 laps. But David Kekorian squeaked away with a second place finish as Jimmy Mullis finished third, Jim Caudell Jr. finished in fourth, and Joe Schaefer Jr. finished in fifth. Like I said, for here tonight, it is all about qualifying night for the Race1.us Copper World Classic. Now, what you will see is you will see roughly 30 guys take to the track here tonight. The top 20 will be locked in on their time for the time trials. Then we will have a 75-lap last chance qualifier race where the top 6 will be locked in. After that, 2 provisionals will be available, and the final 2 spots on the grid will go to next week's Contender Series winners, which will also be racing here at Phoenix International Raceway on Wednesday nights. Now, some basic rules here for this, for this race here, for the last chance qualifier race. There's going to be 75 laps, as I stated. There's going to be no extra tires available. Obviously, this is an open setup league. There are no fast resets, and as always, there is a gentleman's rule where drivers are encouraged to claim fault for any cautions they may cause and will be given an end-of-the-line penalty during the race. Now, if they do not claim that, and we watch the post-race, and we as in meaning the admins here at Sim Auto Racing Association, we will go through and give you an end-of-the-line penalty in the results, or in this case, if you are one of the guys that make it through the last chance qualifier, in the top 6 there, or even part of the provisional where you take someone out, we may end up, not allowing you to race next week. But none of that really matters right now. Like I stated, these guys are getting their final few little warm-up laps in, and we'll see who can put it at the top of the box, or at least get into the top 20 to lock themselves into the field for next week's race. Now we will have, we'll be doing some driver interviews here a little bit later on. So we'll be able to talk to some of the guys out here prior to their runs and even post runs to get their 2 cents on how things are going to shake out for them, or maybe how it did shake out. And we will be having a special guest up in the booth with us as well in the last chance qualifier race. Won't say who it is currently, but I do expect it to be pretty good in helping me out here to call the race. They have a lot of knowledge in that aspect of things. Like stated, Sim Marketing Solutions is the series sponsor, and they introduce real-world sponsors to sim racers and works with them to ensure that they receive maximum benefit for their exposure to the sim racing community. They hopped on board with us this year, and it's really helped us out in putting on events like this, among others, throughout the whole season. Give away some good prizes, some good money prizes towards the end of the season. And if you ever want to join this league, just hop right on over to racesara.com. We have 4 different divisions that race Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. Monday nights, it's our Dirt Night Midgets and UMP mods. They switch weeks as far as which one races what. Tuesday nights is our Callaway Investment Sportsman Series for the street stocks. Wednesday nights is the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series, where if you sign up, that's where you will start out, and you have to prove that you can run clean, you can run fast, and run up front. And if you do all those things, you may get an invite to the Thursday night Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series, which is what we're watching here tonight. As everything's starting to wrap up here just for a little bit, we'll go ahead and I'll let you know that AJ Rogers will be our first car to come out here tonight in the 17R Insurance Options Midwest Power Source Ford Fusion that he has there. He's out of Cloverdale, Virginia, and he's had if you were with us last week, he had some terrible luck in that New Smyrna race on Wednesday night, which wasn't aired, but he had some tough luck there, and then Thursday night it doubled over. And so maybe he's going to come out here and try to put up a fast time and get himself locked in for Thursday night's race, and won't have to worry about running well on Wednesday nights. But shortly after him, there are some fast cars that are up front. Now, also, what everyone has to contend with is the new build with the super late model car. There was a new build. All setups that you had prior to this were pretty much junk. So everyone had to start from scratch. So we may see some new fast guys up towards the top that we're not used to seeing. And you may see who we are used to seeing up top be at the bottom. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out. As Matt Rolfe, who's the league admin, is getting everyone lined up in order on pit road. So that way we can get these cars out on track to throw down their best fast lap. Yep, everything's about going up here. Matt's going through the last final few things to let everyone know what to expect. Now, also, and typically when you're running in just your standalone qualifying, if you mess up on your first lap or before you end your first lap, or even if you wreck or what have you, you reset your car and go back out there for one final lap. Tonight, you cannot do that. Tonight, you're going out, and it's just like real life. You cannot reset your car. Now, it would be interesting to see if someone doesn't get through 3 and 4 on their opening lap as well as they want, or even in 1 and 2, if they go ahead and stop and, maybe back up a little bit or what have you. I doubt anyone does it, but it can happen. But we see AJ Rogers coming out here early on. He's going to be the first one. Going to get up to speed here and see see how fast he can get going. And going here through 3 and 4, coming down the front stretch. Now he missed the bottom there just a little bit. It's going to cost him a little bit of time, but he gets out of 2 pretty good. And 2 last night was the trouble spot in our little practice test race that we had here at Sim Racing Association. And he's way up in 3 and 4. The track could be, the grip could be up there, but he's going to set the bar here early, give everyone something to shoot at as he comes across the line at a 28.17 with a 3 on the back end. We'll see if he'll go ahead and take another lap here. It looks like he will. Goes down through the dog leg. It's about 158 mile an hour before he haul off into turn 3. These cars are making some steam. This new update, they're flying down these straightaways. Coming out turn 4, 28.09, so he does pick up there on his second lap. He may be a little frustrated with that as he didn't get everything that he wanted on that first lap. Next car out will be the 56 car of Brendan Wilkinson. Goes off into 1 and 2. He's already taken the green flag here. Brendan Wilkinson's out of Massachusetts in the Sim Marketing Solutions. He's running with Scott Eckridge chassis. Coming in at 3 and 4. It's going to be the white flag. A 27.92. I will say in practice, fast time was in 27.8. Brandon Wilkham goes top of the board early. He's going to call it quits here after the first lap. Next car will be Donald Clark out of South Carolina and the Carolina Contracting Solutions, Will and Dillon Motorsports Chevrolet. He's going to start way up towards the wall. Try to get a really good run and drive out of 4. Goes down into 1. Like I said, misses the bottom there again. Looks like the car cuts center pretty good. Go ahead and come out of 2. Decent drive down the backstretch. 157. They go into turn 3. Coming out of 4. 28-23. It currently puts him 3rd. He'll probably end up running another lap here. No, he got super loose out too. He's going to go ahead and call that quits. Next up is going to be the 13 car, Samuel Roush. Samuel Roush is out of Tucson, Arizona, in the Midwest Power Source Inc. Dynamic Auto Sports Dodge. Team way up towards the top. He's going to do the same thing, arc it down, get a good drive out of turn 4 down the backstretch. See, most guys are up there towards the middle of the track in 1 and 2. That must be where the grip is after they put a ton of laps here during practice. At the line, it's 29.00 with the 9. Currently puts him P2. See what he does here on his second lap. He's going to take 2 laps. Shoots up just a little bit into 3 and 4. He doesn't stay on the bottom as much as he probably wanted to. At the line is 28.08. Slows down just a little bit. He's currently P2. Next is the 25 car, Tyler Breeding. It's out of Knoxville, Tennessee, in the All-State and Breeding Plumbing and Electric. Running under his own name there in Breeding Racing. He had a pretty decent 3 and 4. He picked up the throttle pretty early. At the line, 27.90. Currently puts him P1. Good lap there by Tyler Breeding. Might run another one here. Like he got a little tight out of 2. He got really close to that wall, but he's going to finish the lap out. And that last lap was a 28.16, so he slowed down there pretty significantly. Like I said, it looks like he got tight out of 2. Next up will be the 5 car of Matt Rolfe. Matt Rolfe is in the Race1.us Sim Marketing Solutions T4X Toyota Camry. He's going to be coming out of turn 2. Now, currently joining us up here in the booth is Zach Novak. He was last week's winner, dominating the race, picking up his first career win. Zach, thanks for joining us up here real quick, as Matt Rolfe runs a 27.96, puts him P3. You ran well last week, but as we know, there was a new build for this week, so you had to start over from scratch. So how do you feel about your race car, or specifically for your Q set here tonight?
Yeah, we were kind of struggling to get a grasp on it initially. Jimmy and Matt Bontempi did some work on it, got it a little bit better. I think we've got a pretty good car for tonight at least. We've got to work on the race test still, but I think we'll probably qualify somewhere in the top 10 tonight, hopefully better than that. But you know, it's really been hard to get a grasp on the build, so I mean, wherever we qualify is wherever we qualify. Hopefully it'll be good though.
I don't suspect it'll be an issue for you. You know, Ryan Matthews out here on the track as he smacks the wall coming out of 4, so it's probably not going to count his lap there. He's going to take another one. What point, or what are you really looking for in the car more than anything else? I mean, being they did overhaul this car, to me it seems like it's really hard to get drive out of the turn, especially late. It wants to get on top of the tire. But what specifically are you looking for out of the car?
Yeah, like you said, I think just grip exit. At least from my experience with the car so far, been really skatey on exit, and it feels pretty much like it's a four-wheel slide coming off the corner, and that's not normal in the Super, at least from my experience with it in the past builds. So I've been trying to get used to that, both as a driver and setting it up, and I think we've got it almost as good as we can right now. But the race set's definitely going to be a little harder to build. We normally like to set our car up a little tighter. So with how loose it feels now, the races are going to be a lot different, and the setups are going to be a lot different. So we'll see how that goes, and it's really a whole new story, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm sure y'all get it figured out. You got a week's time for the next week's race here for 150 laps. Good luck to you here tonight. We'll definitely keep an eye out for you and see what you can do as far as putting up your time. And before we get you on your way, before you go out there and try to put it on top, is there any thanks you'd like to give or any shout-outs?
Yeah, I just want to thank all my sponsors, SimSpeed Shop, Looking Through Designs, all my teammates at Lockdown Racing, Jimmy and Matt especially for really helping out on this thing. They managed to figure this car out pretty quickly, so thanks to them for putting in the time for that. And also just huge shout out to Matt, Rolf for putting this league together. Everything's run extremely smooth and really fun to race in this league. Like I said last week, I really do have a blast. So thanks to him, and thanks to you guys as well for putting in the time to do these broadcasts.
Yeah, well, we enjoy broadcasting it just as much as you like, you like racing it. So good luck here for you tonight, and maybe we'll talk to you at the end of the night here for qualifying on the boat.
Thanks, Derek.
All right, bud. That was last week's event winner, Zach Novak. Currently, you got Russell Berry out on track, and we've seen Scott Dunlap go out there. Scott Dunlap ended up qualifying 9th right now. He's got your slowest time. And Russell Berry just ran a 28.28. His first lap was a 20.18. He's currently 7th. Next up will be the 98 car of Ian Lane. Ian was fast last night in our test session. We'll see what he can do here in his. Well, he doesn't have a sponsor, but it's a big ass pizza, and he's pretty fast in it so far. Seems like he's kind of maybe figured something out with the new setup. So we'll see what he can do here as he's going into 3 and 4. See what time he can put up on the board. He crosses the line. It's a 28.06. It's going to currently put him 6th. Race set maybe just a little bit better than what his Q set is. He gets loose out of 2, and that's exactly what me and Zach Novak were talking about. What everyone's going to struggle with is drive off in these cars. The lateral grip is down as well, but with the added power and the small tires that they have on here, it's going to be it's going to be a challenge, especially in the hot desert sun in Phoenix, as Elaine's just going to go ahead and call it quits here. Next up will be the 92 car, the old Wiley veteran of Ty Spearman. A new resident in Pensacola, Florida himself. He's in his posse machine as he heads off down into 1 and 2. Gets down, the left side's down on the apron a little bit, doesn't upset the car too much. Like he had a pretty good drive off out of 2. Car moves up just a little bit in the center. See if he gets it back down low. Maybe not as low as he wanted it to, but it still looks like a pretty good lap. Looks across at a 27.97. Currently puts him 5th. He's going to be done here. Next up will be his teammate out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Is Joe Schaefer Jr. in his button box shop, Loco Toco Designs, Heatweight Visual, Epic Media. He doesn't have enough sponsors. And running for the posse here. Now currently he's got a special paint scheme on there. He's got his Valvoline Ford. Looks really good for the throwback. We'll see what kind of time he can have here. Joe was fast in practice for qualifying. I know he struggled a little bit with the race set to find the balance, but he has no problem with the cue. Go here in 3 and 4. Coming out of 4. Looks like a pretty solid lap. Comes across the line at 27.94. Puts him P3. A little bit shy of Tyler Breeding. Next up will be the 21 car of Jason Tarasenko. He's out of Langley, Virginia, and his Midwest Power Source, our insurance options, best overhead doors, and he's running with Dynamic Auto Sports. But currently we have Dallas Pataska up here with us. Dallas, thanks for taking a little time out to come up here and speak with us. Now, you've ran on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights in the Contender Series and here in the invite-only Super Sim Series. And with this new build, you were coming on strong there early this season, late last season. With the new build, has it thrown you for any curveballs, or are you pretty much picking up where you left off?
Well, I mean, it's definitely thrown everybody for a curveball. Curveball. But I think it's a good curveball. It seems like we got a harder compound tire and whatnot, so that makes things a little bit more interesting. You really got to hook these cars up good to make them go fast now, and it's a very rewarding build, and I like that. As far as where myself and the rest of my teammates are going to end up for speed, it's hard to say. It looks good right now, but in the next couple weeks here we'll really find out. But either way, I'm excited to be running this package. I love it so far.
Yeah, I mean, we had the test session there last night. I mean, you had a pretty good battle in that, and these, you can really get close with these cars now. They kind of fixed up the little crash box a little bit, and you got me on top of the wheel. So it's, for me, I enjoy it as well. But there's other guys that are struggling with it, as we see Jason Tarasenko is currently in 7th with a 28 flat, pretty much. But what are you expecting here tonight for your qualifying run? Do you think you can be in the top 5, or maybe even on top of the box, as Tyler Breeding is leading the way with a 27.90?
Well, it's tough to say. I feel like if I can hit the lap that I know that I can hit and what the car can do, I feel like we can go to the top of board of the times that are hit now. Now, there's still a lot of fast cars out there that can go, but I still feel like with our car, after everybody, we can be in the top 5, whether it be myself or one of my teammates. I think the car's got it in it tonight.
Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for you. It'll be coming up here before too long. Jimmy Moss is on the track, and he's ran a 27.95, so that put him up into the top 5. But before we get you on your way, is there any thanks you'd like to give, or anybody you'd like to really give a good shout out for?
Yeah, I'd love to give a big thanks to everybody on the car, All-Star Elevators, Dwayne Sherry Allseth, Mr. Sticks, and North Country Steak Buffet for continuing to be on the car, and thank you guys for streaming qualifying. It's not very often that qualifying has made this such a big deal, so it's nice to see that. And I gotta thank Matt for organizing a great league as always.
Well, all right, bud. Well, good luck to you. Go out there and just lick the stamp and send it, and maybe we'll talk to you at the end of the night here when you qualify first.
All right, thanks guys.
All right, bud. That's Dallas Pataska. We'll have to keep an eye on him. Currently, Drew Kryback's out on track. He just ran a 28.74. Not too sure what happened there on his first lap as I was talking with Dallas, but Drew's definitely going to take a second run at it here as he's well off the pace. Drew Kryback's out of West Salem, Wisconsin. He's got his Lit Pro data tracking, button box shop, Epic Marketing, and he's in the Posse car. The Posse guys are fairly quick here so far. Ran a 28.09. So he picked up there a little bit, but he left a lot on the table there on that first lap. Next up is going to be a 73 car. That is Jason Miller. Jason Miller is out of Birmingham, Alabama. Hardcore Paints is his sponsor with One Up Motorsports. Team getting a good run down the dog leg here into 3 and 4. Coming out of 4. And it looks like he got a good drive off there. 28.06, going to put him P11. Bunch of cars all over each other. You got Ian Lane, Miller, Kryback, Rogers. They're all there in the 06s, 09s. This is going to get tighter as the night goes on. If you haven't joined us in any other nights, you're really missing out. But definitely in qualifying, which we don't broadcast typically, but in qualifying, usually from first to about 18th, maybe even 20th, you're talking a couple tenths before it's all said and done. Now with open qualifying, it can vary just a little bit, but right now it looks like everything is being pretty tight as Kyle Souza's out here for his opening lap. Souza's out of Somerset, Massachusetts with the Bay State Sewage Columbus Energies. He's running under his own stable in Kyle Souza Racing. Comes across the line at a 28.04. That's exactly what I'm talking about. He's going to throw a blanket over a bunch of these guys before it's all said and done. Souza's going to make another lap of it here. Joining us in the booth currently is a new resident of Pensacola, Florida, Ty Spearman. Ty, thanks for taking some time out here. Right now, you're currently P7 in qualifying, so not a terrible time that you put up there. But what were you missing, or did you just miss your line, or what happened there in qualifying?
Well, I just needed to make a lap where I didn't hit anything, so I was actually, I don't know. I mean, I didn't hit 4 quite right. I mean, coming off of 4, going up into 3, and then off of 4. 1 and 2, I almost lapped the wall, but I didn't. So, I mean, it was okay. It's not my fastest lap, but it'll do.
Yeah, it'll definitely get you in the show as we see Cameron Hamilton coming out of turn 4 here. We'll see what kind of lap he turns before we continue on. He comes across the line at 27.95, so there's still speed left in the track, puts him up there into the top 5. Now going forward, we still got some heavy hitters up here. You know, we got Tim Bills, Pataska, DK, to name a few of them. We still got last week's winner, Zach Novak, coming out here. Now we did have a new build, and it's caught some people off guard, and there's other guys that picked up on it. So we'll go ahead and talk about next week real quick, being your A-Hedge qualifying run. Next week, what are you looking forward as far as in your car itself for the race? You know, are you looking for lateral, where everyone's always looking for more lateral grip, but which one are you going to key on, the lateral grip or the drive off?
You're going to have to keep drive off. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And really, for the most part, I mean, the car's not right. I understand what they tried to do, which makes perfect sense, but there's some aspects of the car that's still not quite right. Even with this new build, I think they're going to make a few changes. At least I hope so. I know for me, as far as testing this new build, this car doesn't feel anything like I tested, so it is what it is. I don't mind saying it. So it's a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, if they do make the changes, I'm sure it'll help some of the guys out there maybe struggling with it. What, in your opinion, what is it lacking based off of what you tested, if you're willing to give up any of that information?
Oh, I give it up. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I think it seems to me like I lost a little bit of drive off. I mean, this car right now is real snappy. And what I mean by snappy is a lot of people think they're loose when they are coming off the corner, when really they're not. They're just too tight and they're putting too much wheel into it, and the back end wants to come around and slap the wall. It's almost like maybe the center of gravity is too high and it's rolling over like a Winnebago, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it feels.
Yeah, I know initially when we tested, if you had anything remotely probably below a 500-pound right rear spring, it felt like it was rolling over on the right rear super hard. But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, and that's definitely the challenge for here tonight, especially when you're trying to lay down a fast Q lap. You're trying to get everything you want out of it, and I'm surprised we haven't seen anyone loop it yet. There's still a lot of guys to go, as Mark Royer's out here on track currently. And be interesting to see how anything plays out for tonight, and especially for the last chance qualifier. Might be able to get some takeaways from that from next week. And those changes that you may think that could be coming, they won't happen before next week, will they?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Lord, he looks like he just blew up.
Yeah, Mark Royer just sent it.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think as far as a good barometer, as far as how you'll be in this car, Phoenix is really not the track to really judge how good you're going to be, because I mean, this is a different animal altogether. You can take this setup and throw it away after you're done because, face it, I mean, super late models really don't belong here. And actually, I'm glad we come here. I think it's pretty cool. But, I mean, we're on the bull rings. So I really think that's where you're going to see the people who's really, really got it and the people who don't.
Yeah, this build just came out just, you know, we already had the schedule set, and it just so happened to come out on this track. So it wasn't selected for a reason, because Tim Bills puts it at the top of the board at 27.89, so there's still plenty of speed left in the track there as it may be cooling down just a little bit. But it will be interesting to see as we get into, you know, the further down in the weeks and we get back to the bull rings and see who's able to, you know, still be fast. I still think there's going to be some guys, especially after this next week from the Copper World Summer Classic from here in Phoenix next week. The week after that, we're at Oxford Plains. So, you know, if you want a bull ring and you want to see what you got, that's going to be a place that'll really let you know where you stand with everyone else.
And honestly, I think the car is going to feel better on a shorter track. I think if you can plant the left side and get the car to turn, I think we're struggling with that off of here, especially with it just seems like you hit the power band, so to speak, coming off this corner. And unlike you guys, I think you were talking about how you guys were running a big right rear spring. Personally, I'm not. Now, Joe and Bill are running something a little bit different than I am. But I'm kind of soft all the way around the car. But it was just whatever felt comfortable to me, where I could make a lap.
Right. Yeah. And, well, you know, and it's to suit their own, which is good. I mean, that's kind of how the Super Late Model has always been. We talked to Dallas Pataska earlier. Ty, you weren't in here. Just spoke to him prior to you, and he said he didn't really know what he had, but he thought he had a good piece, and apparently he does. As he runs a 27.86 and puts it at the top of the board once again. So we're starting to get guys to knock each other off of the top spot, and things are starting to pick up here a little bit. Well, Ty, I appreciate you coming up here, bud, and, you know, giving us some information and some insight. Before I get you on your way here, is there any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, definitely want to thank, obviously, you guys for broadcasting. I know Derek, you'd much rather be racing. Of course, in this current build right now with this car, I don't know if you'd rather be racing or not. And the, you know, definitely the posse, and special thanks to Matt, too, for spending so much time with this league and really keeping it together. It's just no doubt the best short track league in all of iRacing.
Without a doubt, and we couldn't do it without guys like you and other guys in this, you know, in this league that puts on great racing and you know, gives us something to watch. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for you next week, as you're currently P11 on the boards. You have no problem in making it here in the top 20, and you know, we'll catch you next week, and good luck to you.
Sounds good. Take it easy, guys.
All right, bud. That's Ty Spearman. We're just watching Jim Caudell Jr. He put it at P5 currently. Up next is the 66 car of David Kikorian. David Kikorian is out of Los Angeles, California, in Exalta Elliott Realty, William Dillon Motorsports Chevrolet. And he runs a 27.89, puts him P3 just behind his teammate in Tim Bills. Good lap there by David Kikorian. Next up after him is Christian Challoner. Challoner's in the 78 car. He comes off pit road. He's one from across the pond. We don't have too many of them that race with us, but he is one of them out of England. And I'm not saying his sponsors because I don't know how to say them outside of Socks Out Racing. He's with Dynamic Auto Sports. Now there's Night Fox Designs. That's one of them. The other one starts with an H, and there's not a lot of vowels in it, so we'll see how he does here coming out of 2. Challoner is a pro driver. Comes out here and races with us on the occasion when he's not racing in the A-class cars. Runs a 27.90. Currently puts him P4. Going to take another one out. He didn't get through there like he wanted to. Now he's just going to put on a drift show. Up after him is in the 60 car of Keith Medeiros. He's out of Cape Coral, Florida. The Mike Woods Designs front stretch Mafia Chevrolet. It's coming down the front stretch into one. Like he's got a good drive there out of two. Got a little loose, and that's what Spearman was talking about there a little bit, where it's a little snappy loose. I really think that with how the build is currently, it really, if you run the dirt, especially the UMP cars, or anything on dirt, but especially UMP cars, you can really get a good feel for this car and how the tire works. Is Keith runs a 27.95, puts him P11. If you don't run as much dirt, it may catch you out a little bit, but the throttle control is definitely key with these cars coming out of the turn, specifically here. We'll see how they do in a couple weeks at Oxford Plains, and they may not be as snappy at that point. Go ahead and pull it off the track here. Up next is the 15 car of Zach Novak. Zach Novak was your winner last week. We spoke to him earlier on. We'll see what he does here. He's out of Clinton, Connecticut, and it's SimSpeedShop.com. Loco Toco's designed lockdown racing Toyota Camry. Coming out of turn 4. A little wiggle there. Facing the car just a little bit. Comes across at a 27.82. That will be your new pole sitter currently with the new hot fast time at 27.82. Dallas Pataska gets bumped down to P2 at the 27.86. So Novak's put a little bit of a spanking on him there with 400s in the bank. We only got 4 more cars left to go. Up next is the 88 of Matthew Eddy. Matthew Eddy's out of Midland, Michigan, and is Hal Racing, Don's Towing, JVM Racing Chevrolet. Go down into turn 1 and 2. Car looks good so far. He's got the Race1.us sponsorship on there this weekend. It's good to see him pick up a little extra sponsorship. Down 3 and 4, car looked really tight there on entry. Had to wait on it. But he will get a good drive through this little loose out. 28.18, that's going to put him P25. So he's going to currently be in the last chance qualifying race. Right now, Ian Lane's on the bubble. See if we can go ahead and get Ian Lane in here real quick, because maybe he can watch the bubble here with us for these last few cars. Ian, thanks for joining us up here in the booth, bud. You're right here on the bubble in P20 from, either you're in the show or you're in the last chance qualifier race. Right now you dodged one bullet there in Matthew Eddy. Up next is Michael Goddard. How you feel about your qualifying lap time? Do you think you'll be able to hang on there to 20th?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple of good people still yet to go. I really overdrove the car, trying to get too much in turns 1 and 2, and that really cost me. I was a tenth off of what I practiced, so that really was kind of sucked, but we'll see what happens here in the last couple cars.
Well, we're going to keep you up here, so we can talk to you for good news or bad news, but either way, it makes for good TV. And Goddard gets out of turn 4 and looks like he almost smacked the wall. He's at a 28.25. There's one bullet that you dodged there. He may be going ahead and try to make a second lap here. Car looked extremely tight. Now you were really fast last night in our test session that we had here in the race set. So even if you do, no matter what, you're going to be in the race one way or the other, I believe. But how do you think your race set will fare out for tonight if you do have to race in the last chance qualifying race?
The set last night was really good. It took me a while to get going, probably 20 or 30 laps, but I think I was probably one of the quickest cars, if not the quickest car, from like lap 60 to 75. Car it didn't really, it kind of got to a point where it stopped falling off, and I had a lot better drive off, and I could really hook the bottom in 3 and 4 better than a lot of people. So if I do have to race tonight, it's just another test run on it. I made a couple small changes, so it won't be bad to get some more practice in. Hopefully it runs green like last night, if I am in it, which It looks like I will be now.
You will be, unfortunately, as Bill Martin goes P5 and then destroys his car into 1. He ran a 27.89. That'll go ahead and bump Ian Lane, unfortunately, to 21st. Now Kyle Souza's on the bubble, as there's one car left, and that was Adam Benefield. Benefield was one of the faster cars in practice, qualifying practice here, so if you're Kyle Souza, just like how Ian Lane was, you might be sweating bullets just a little bit, as you want to be in the top 20 to guarantee your spot into next week's Copper World Classic here at Phoenix. We'll see what Benefield does here. Ian, sorry, bud, but we will be able to get to see you here for 75 laps in the last chance qualifier race. And I'm not too sure how the field will be set after that. It'd probably be just how he qualifies. So maybe you'll be starting on the pole for that, which won't be a bad thing. And as we just talked about, you got a good race set. So maybe we'll be able to talk to you about nights in, about racing your way in to the race tomorrow night. Or next week, excuse me.
Yeah, we'll have to see. At least it'll be front row. So a little better than where I had to start last night if we're getting inverted, but I'm pretty confident in the car if it's stay out of trouble.
Yep, Adam Benefield puts in that 27.98. That will be your last car to make time here tonight. Zach Novak, last week's winner, is your fastest qualifier here tonight. We'll get a word with him in just a moment. Ian, go ahead and we're going to let you go here so that way you can get your race set and everything set up. Before we do, is there any things you'd like to give before you get back at it?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates at GRG, even though this is kind of my own deal doing the super late models most of the time, but thanks to them for all their help in every other car and for spotting and hanging out with me during races. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting. I know how much work broadcasting is. It looks pretty easy to most people, I think, but it's a lot of fun to watch them back and a lot of hard work for sure.
Well, we enjoy it. There is a lot of hard work. Matt and Clay do the majority of it. I'm just the voice of it, which not a very good voice, but I'm the voice of it. And but good luck here for you tonight, and hopefully we talk to you later in the winner's circle.
Yeah, hopefully. See you then. Hopefully.
All right, bud. That was Ian Lane. And like I said, he's going to be in the last chance qualifier. He just barely missed it as he qualified 22nd. And, that's the way it goes. Now, what we'll go ahead and do, we'll go ahead and bring up, go through the top 20, let you know where everyone qualified here. I can get it up. Starting on the front row for next Thursday night's as my screen froze up. There you go. Next Thursday night's Race1.US Copper World Summer Classic here at Phoenix. It'll be Zach Novak leading on the green, Dallas Pataska on the outside of him. Tim Bills, we'll talk to him here in just a minute, starting third. David Kokori, and those two guys are teammates, starting fourth. Bill Martin starting fifth. Christian Challoner starting sixth. Seventh is Tyler Breeding. Eighth is Brandon Wilkinson. Ninth is Jim Caudell Jr. Round out your top 10 is Jimmy Mullis. 11th is Joe Schaefer Jr. We'll hear more from him maybe a little bit later. 12th is Cameron Hamilton. 13th, Keith Meadows. 14th, Ryan Matthews. 15th, Matt Rolfe. 16th, Ty Spearman. 17th, Adam Benefield. 18th, Trevor Edwards. 19th, Jason Tarasenko. And round out your top 20, Samuel Roush. Like I said, those top 20 guys will make it automatically into next week's Copper World Summer Classic. Tonight, the action still isn't over, as guys from 21st on back will do 75 laps here for the last chance qualifier. Like I said, this top 6 will be locked in. Then there will be a couple provisionals available after that. The final 2 spots on the grid will go to next week's Contender Series winners. And before we go any further, we'll get Tim Bills in here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and bring up the sponsors. Forgot to give them some love early on in this broadcast, as there's a bunch of action going on, and I forgot to mention them. But without these guys and the SARA partners, we could not do this and bring this to you. So thanks to them, thanks to Sim Marketing Solutions, who's a sponsor here for the Super Late Model Series on Thursday nights. You got Davis Chassis Works for the sponsorship for the Contender Series and the Super Late Models on Wednesday nights. Heinz Pride's Leather and Sheepskin, which is doing really cool Heinz Pride head-to-head throwdown for us this year. We'll talk a little bit more about that maybe later on for Last Chance Qualifier or next week. Midwest Power Source, Callaway Investments, longtime sponsor here at the Sim Auto Racing Association for our for our street stocks. You got Race1.US, go check them out. They got some pretty cool stuff there. That can it's a full service apparel printing and design entity. Go check out their website. They're a sponsor here for tonight and for next week. You got Canadian Rail Serve, the Hub Use Sim Racing Giveaways, Loco Toco Designs, plenty of their paint schemes out here. Dynamic Auto Sports, USO, Can-Am Racing Series, and East West Modifieds. Go ahead and bring in Tim Bills here into the booth. We'll get a quick word with him and see what he thinks here. Like I said, he qualified third here tonight. Tim, thanks for joining us here. Get a quick word here with you. You qualified third. Teammate qualified fourth, so it looks like y'all had some decent Q speed. You got locked in for next week's race. So going into next week, what are you looking forward to, and how do you think your race set is going to fare out?
Well, we're going to find out. We have not even worked on a race set at all. I put that qualifying set together between the practice session and the qualifying session. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, you got a week to figure it out. And we know there's going to be some more test sessions probably that we're going to put up and everything to give everyone plenty of time and opportunity to get these cars dialed in for that 150 lap race next week. Now, with the new build, as we've mentioned it throughout this whole broadcast so far, it's really thrown everyone for a little loop. But these are the best super late model series drivers on the service, so everyone get it figured out, yourself included. Tonight, we have the last chance qualifier race for 75 laps. Are you going to be watching that? Maybe see if you can get anything or take anything away from it?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I want to see what happens to the car overruns. Like I said, we haven't made none of us have made runs. It's just all been Q laps. Couldn't make the car feel good for one lap. I sure didn't want to try to run a bunch of laps yet. But I got to see what they changes over a run for sure.
Well, like I said, you'll have plenty of time to get it there, and I have no doubt in my mind that you and the Will and Dylan Motorsports guys, you and DK, we'll get it figured out. It seems like you're fast every week, and it's, like I said, there's just no doubt in my mind that you'll be able to do it. Before I get you on your way, the last chance qualifying session is getting set up here currently. Is there any thanks or shout outs that you'd like to give before we get you on your way?
Yeah, I want to thank my sponsors, H&H Sign Supply, and the guys Wheeling and Dealing Motorsports there, DK, of course, and Donald Clark. Russell Charneski didn't make it in here tonight, but he helped out with us this week. And thank Matt for putting up all them sessions.
Well, yeah. Well, it's, good luck to you and, the Will and Dylan Motorsports guys. And we'll see you next week. And like I said, later on here tonight, as it's getting set up, we got the last chance qualifying session. So be sure to tune in for that and, give them hell.
Thank you.
All right. That was Tim Bills. Qualified third here tonight. Had a really good run. We'll go ahead and get the pole sitter. We already talked to him once tonight, and for being the winner last week and everything. And he put it on the top spot with Zach Novak. There we go. Got him in here. Zach, well, we talked to you once here. We're talking to you here again. He put it on the top spot with fast time here tonight with a 27.82. It looked fast and it was fast. So how'd you do it?
I don't really know. Like I was saying earlier, before I went out with the car, it got kind of awkward. Like I wasn't really too comfortable with it, and kind of struggled to figure out how to set it up initially, at least. And well, I wasn't that great in practice when we were first starting out, and like I said, I just didn't really like the car. It felt really awkward to me, and I don't know. I just hit my marks pretty perfectly, and somehow put down an 82. Well,
don't question it. It happened, right? So you made it work, and now you can just sit back and relax, watch the action unfold here tonight for the last chance qualifying race. And come next Thursday, you'll be leading us off for 150 laps. So, maybe you got a little bit of time now to work on your race set, and we'll see how that one fares out for you.
Yeah, heard that we've gotten a little progress on that race set. So I haven't done anything with him personally though. So yeah, this helps out a little bit. Gives us just a little bit more leeway, I guess, just to mess around with some stuff. And you know, we're gonna start good. Even Jimmy, he messed up his lap, and he's still gonna start pretty well. So overall, doing a really good job. Jimmy and Matt for getting this car set up good, and it's cool. Last week we won our first race, this week's our first pole, so everything's coming together finally.
Well, we'll see how you end up faring out. Like I said, new build, so everyone's just playing catch up, trying to get ahead. We'll see how you fare out next week, and good luck to you. Maybe you can go back to back.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Derek.
All right, bud. Now, Zach, go back. Last week's winner, this week's pole sitter, be taking us to the green next week for 150 laps. Currently, we got the last chance qualifier session that is up and practicing currently. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to take a quick break here, and we will be right back just before this kicks underway to explain what to expect here for tonight for the last chance qualifier, and be able to see these guys do battle here at Phoenix for 75 laps. All right, everybody, welcome back to SARA TV here at Phoenix International Speedway with the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. Guys are finishing up their practice laps here in anticipation for the last chance qualifying race. 75 laps here. Currently, we're going to bring in the series admin, Matt Rolfe, who's not racing in the last chance qualifying race. Go ahead and bring him in here. Maybe he can give us a little explanation of what to expect here tonight for the last chance qualifying race as we've gone over some of the qualifying procedures and some of the basic rules. Matt, thanks for joining us. Like I said, we got 75 laps here for tonight for the last chance qualifying race. What should we look forward to, or what should we keep an eye out on for tonight's race?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. You know, as I've heard you already kind of talk about quite a bit, is the new build that happened this week. It's kind of thrown everybody for a little bit of a loop as far as kind of having to redo setups and all that stuff. Whatever we had in the past does not work anymore. So it's basically just a refresh for everybody, which I think is a good and bad thing. Good because it just puts everybody on a level playing field, but bad because, you know, guys are going to hit or miss on these things for a little while until they get used to it. So, but don't really know what to expect in the LCQ. We did a test race last night and it went pretty well. But there's actually less cars in here than there were last night. We were kind of expecting a few more cars to be in this LCQ, so I expect this thing to go green, and these guys are going to find out for sure how their cars handle in the long run.
Well, it should be exciting. Last night's test session race was pretty good. Some good racing. You know, guys struggling for grip and everything, so everyone's on the wheel, and we've seen some comers and goers, so we'll probably see the same thing here tonight. For next week, you know, we have 150 laps there for the Couple World Summer Classic. What do you expect out of your cars? You'll be racing in it next week, and what do you expect out of your race set, and how do you think you'll fare?
Well, so far in testing, I think a lot of these guys have been focusing on Q setups just because, you know, we got qualifying here tonight, and they can worry about race setups for the rest of the week. But I've been working on race setup, and it feels pretty good overall. It's got some early speed to it. We found that out last night, that on a fairly short run, or even, you know, 30, 40 laps, it's pretty good. And then it kind of fell off after me and you made some contact in that race last night. But I think it just, you know, I also learned I think you're going to have to save tires quite a bit, especially for next week's race, 150 laps. I know we got an extra set of tires, but I'm assuming most guys will try to probably wait till even lap 100 or so to take them, so you still got to save until you get to that point. But we'll find out, I guess.
That we will. It's something to really look forward to, as I do, and it should be exciting. And you know, thanks for coming in here. And we'll get you on your way as the session's about to start. And you know, thanks for everything that you do here, and good luck to you next week.
Thanks.
That was Matt Rolfe. He's a series admin, and like I say, he's going to go ahead and get everyone their last remaining instructions for here tonight. With us right now in the booth is, excuse me, as Matt's just chirping in my ear here, and I need to turn him down. As we got Mark Welsh with us here. Mark, thanks for joining us up here in the booth, bud. Thanks for, you know, helping with the sponsor for here for tonight and next week. Why don't you tell us a little bit about race1.us and exactly what you do and what you can provide?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good, man. We're about to watch this last chance qualifying race, and should be pretty exciting. And you know, just looking forward to see what this new build brings.
Yeah, definitely. So race one kind of started over the last year or so. I went to my first dirt race and noticed a lot of people wearing, you know, local drivers' shirts and merchandise, and that was one thing I noticed missing from the asphalt tracks where I grew up here in mid-Michigan, and just wanted to try to find an affordable way to make that possible for guys around here. See more shirts out there. So we do printing of the shirts, and I do some designs myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the site earlier and looking at it, and there are some cool T-shirts. You know, they got like that throwback feel to it. I see there's an ASA Racing Series hat that looks really cool on there. Where can everyone go? I mean, is it exactly as it states, just to race1.us and get you right to where everyone needs to go to, you know, fulfill maybe creating their own shirt or what have you?
Yep, race1.us. It actually will direct you to our storefront, but you can find us on Facebook, and we can do custom orders, and we can do pretty much anything you want to get your name out there a little more than what you had before.
All right, but well, we appreciate you and what you did here for tonight and for next week. And, you know, it looks like we are under green here currently. And we'll go ahead and get you on your way. We'll get this broadcast going, and hopefully we can put on a heck of a show for you and for all the race fans.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Let's go racing.
All right. That's Mark Welch, series or the race sponsor for here tonight. I got a special guest up in the booth here with me. He is your 3-time series champion, and Joe Schaefer Jr. Joe, thanks for coming up here with me, bud, as we got a little bit late here to the action with snow and doing. I just want to talk to everyone. And you see Kyle Souza out front. You had a pretty decent qualifying effort here. You know, these are a little bit different conditions. With race effort, as you see Ian Lane coming on the outside, what do you expect here tonight for this last chance qualifier as the top 6 get locked in? There's only 11 cars on track.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Last night we did the practice race, but there's really nothing riding on that. Now you'll finally have people who are going to be racing for position, so we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't mind telling you, this car's a piece of crap. So I guess anything can happen.
That's one person's opinion. I guess it does need maybe a little bit of work here and there, but they'll get it ironed out, and I think they're heading in the right direction with it. I think the majority of the people can probably agree with that. But Ian Lane, we spoke to him just prior to you hopping in here, just a little bit before you hopped in here, and he felt pretty good about his race set. He was pretty fast last night in the test session. He's starting to pull away from Kyle Souza here as he's almost about to a half-second lead. Now, we know that everyone is struggling with basically drive off, or feels like it prior to the last build. It's lacking some lateral grip. So you have a week to work on your set. Where do you think that where do you need to get better overall, knowing how the car is? What do you need to improve on so that way you can come away with the win next week?
The problem that I've had in testing is that, I mean, I guess the car kind of always had bump stops, but you never really knew if you were on them or where they were. Now, you can tell, you can feel where the bump stops are, and the car just wants to plant on those, and it's hard to get the timing right. I haven't noticed it much on Ian's car in particular that I'm watching right now, but on my car, it's like if you don't nail the line and the car isn't pointed just so, you're not going to land on the front end correctly and it's just going to walk up the track, and that's what happened to me in qualifying. I mean, the old car didn't do that. This thing is just a completely different animal, and opening up with it at a track like this doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, he got caught up, as explained there during qualifying, that it's just kind of where it fell. We already made the schedule well before the build release was even known as far as date-wise, and that's just the way it works. So we'll see how it works out in a couple weeks as we're at Oxford Plains, the little bull ring there. So maybe we'll get a better idea of how the car is and how the racing will be. Right now, Ian Lane's just pulling the gap on this whole field, and you see Kyle Souza and Jason Miller and AJ Rogers battling for second here. And it's really hard to pass here, especially with how the build is currently and how loose these cars are. So the top side can protect pretty well. As we're on lap 8 of 75. That we were expecting a little bit more cars here for tonight, maybe to make it a bigger last chance qualifier race. But with that being said, I mean, you still got good battles all over the track. But tire wear could be an issue as they can't take tires here tonight. So maybe these guys are pushing a little too hard.
Maybe this group of 3 racing for second place. AJ Rogers has actually been the fastest car for the past 3 laps now. He's been the fastest car of the group. So look for him to kind of, maybe he's biding his time a little, waiting for somebody to make a move in front of him, as it looks like Jason Miller's going to the inside of Souza here.
Yeah, Jason Miller looking down the inside in 3 and 4 as they go side by side into the turn. Now, they did work on the crash boxes as well on these cars a little bit. And me and Matt Rolfe experienced and played around with those unintentionally last night. You can get pretty close, it seems like, to the door without really spinning anyone out. So I think it's still there for a little bit, but Souza gives him plenty of room. So he's going to battle back on the outside. And this can go on side-by-side action for who knows how many laps as the track's starting to widen out. You see Drew Kryback just out of your frame now, just coming in trying to catch up to these guys. So there's about to be a 5-car battle as Michael Goddard's just behind him here for second place. As Miller's got a good drive out of 4 now. He's going to take second officially across the line, but Souza's going to throw it down into 1 and try to keep up there on his door.
I think Miller needs to move up a little higher here and either take his line away on exit or hold him up so he can't dive it down on entry. It is nice that you can rub a little more. I mean, the contact box is adjusted, but you still can't go in there. You can't full send somebody. But it's not like in the past when you hit door to door and somebody wrecks. So that should make the racing a little bit better as we go to some more short tracks.
Oh, Souza gets into Miller. And that was a full send there. He gave him plenty of room to back it up, and that was a heck of a save there by Jason Miller. Everyone gathers it, backs up. And that was good on Kyle Souza to let him, and same way with AJ Rogers. Rogers could have forced the issue, try to get by on both, but just let him gather it back up. Now, what I have noticed, and I don't know if you noticed it or not, but on the last build, basically since the super late model has been out, if you would have done that little slide move there, the right rear would have been just toast for about a lap. As AJ Rogers and Souza get into it, and there goes Souza up into the wall and spinning, and that's going to put him out of the transfer spot currently. No caution.
AJ Rogers said green flag was out.
And yeah, there was a little argument on space there. And unfortunately for Souza, that's not going to be good. He's going to need a caution. I would think the cautions would have been on, but there was nothing there.
He may have been low enough off the track in the grass that didn't register.
Yep, and that puts AJ Rogers into third. I'm sure that might be reviewed. It looks like just a racing deal, and there was argument over space there just a little bit. But that moves Matthew Eddy up into a transfer spot. And as like I said, the top 6 go on. And we'll go back here to Matthew Eddy. And he's got Russell Berry and Donald Clark, Scott Dunlap just behind him. So this battle for the transfer spot can pick up. And this might be the story to watch throughout the race, as you want to be in and not fall back on a provisional if you can avoid it. Some of these guys do race on Wednesday nights for the Contender Series, and it is hard to come away with the victory there, almost as hard as it is to come away with one here on Thursday nights.
Yeah, anytime you're showing up with qualifying against 50 or 60 cars, and the top 40 is separated by less than a full tenth, it's really competitive. So, I mean, in a sense, I guess these build changes are a good thing. We'll see what happens as we move along. Maybe this transfer spot battle will heat up as tires start to fall apart. But I mean, as it's sitting right now, I don't know how we got so spread out.
That's what it is. Ian Lane's up to a 2.8 second lead here. And as we stated, this may not be exactly the track to start out on for the fresh build, but it is what it is. And you can get them spread out here as everyone is just battling their sets to try to find something comfortable. I know last night me and Matt found something that was pretty good for about the first 30 or so laps, and then after that it started getting that tight loose out from a late center exit on. And I'm sure everyone else is battling something similar, or just battling grip overall, as it seems like the grip level has gone down in the car overall for the most part. But back to my point, what I was stating earlier is that for the right rear, with that slide that Miller had, if the last build, that right rear, it'd probably take you a lap or two for it to cool back down. It seems like in this build you can have a little slide like that and you can still have some grip in the tire in the right rear.
Yeah, I think a month ago, that slide for Miller, I mean, I don't even know if he would have got that back after a couple laps. He would have been, that was going to cook it pretty good. Because even in qualifying on the old builder, I remember if I went out on the track and I got too aggressive on my warm-up lap and spun the right rear, it wasn't the same, for right after that. I mean, only spinning it for a split second, he kind of drifted it through the entire corner.
Yeah, and he got back up on track and he went down to the 3, and it was, like it was no big deal, for the most part. But we see that Matthew Eddy is here still in 6th, just ahead of him. In 5th is Drew Kyback. Now, here's one of your teammates out here. Are y'all kind of out here seeing what he can do, or maybe what the setup does for him, and take some notes and maybe make some adjustments for next Thursday's race here?
Well, that would have been the smart thing to do, but we were so focused on trying to get a good qualifying setup in that, I mean, we got something. I guess Drew is the guinea pig, and hopefully he survives it. But we're just so far off with this car that it's like what you're saying. How you were going for a while, you got that push in the center and loose off, which makes it nearly impossible to pass because you can't throw it in under somebody without sliding up and taking them out, and then you can't drive off underneath somebody because you got no grip. That's kind of where we're at. And as I'm watching right now, I mean, unless you're Ian Lane, who's out there doing it for Dale, the cars are not driving, like we're accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, everyone's kind of on ice. I mean, that's what I experienced last night. I probably spent 15 laps trying to get around Sammy Roush, and I couldn't do it. get runs on them, and felt like I was a little bit faster. And if it was the last season's build, I probably would have been able to complete that pass. But it is what it is. It's new challenges, and there will be some updates that come out just to fix some stuff there in the front end of the car. Not too sure what else that they'll end up doing, if anything at all. But you know, we got the fastest guys on the service here with the super late models. It'll get figured out one way or the other. Someone will hit something early on and run with it, but before you know it, someone else will find something else, and so on and so on. So we'll go ahead and go through the field here. We'll start up. Let's go in the back here with Kyle Souza. We'll go from the back to the front. We've seen what happened with Souza there and AJ Rogers. He's just out here putting around at this point in time, and he's 22 seconds off of the lead. He's praying for a caution. And as they're spread out, he probably won't get one, but who knows? We've seen other things happen. In 10th is Mark Royer. Mark currently is 16 seconds off of the lead. He's out here just making his rounds in a Davis Chassis Works 36 car. 9th is Scott Dunlap. He's just right there behind Russell Berry. And Russell Berry in the 4 car. These two guys are teammates, part of the T4X stable. We'll definitely hit them up and see what they think. I think Russell's running my setup potentially, or maybe he changed it. Got Donald Clark in 7th in the 18 car. He's with Will and Dillon Motorsports, so you know we got a bunch of teams out here with some guys in this LCQ. You know that's what everyone's looking for right now is laps and you know getting this data. 6th in the final transfer spot is Matthew Eddy. 5th is Drew Kryback in the Button Box Shop Toyota. 4th is Michael Goddard. Just in front of him is 3rd and AJ Rogers. Seen him make contact with Kyle Souza. And this is racing. 2nd is Jason Miller. And then leading the way and dominating so far is Ian Lane. He's up 2.5 seconds over Jason Miller. It's kind of plateaued right there at the 2.5 second mark, and he's in the pizza car making his rounds, no pun intended. And we'll see if he'll be able to hold on here. He had really good speed late in our test session last night, so if that's any indication how this is going to go, might just pull away from Jason Miller, who was going to win last night, but he ended up running out of gas.
It looks like that Ian and Jason were kind of trading lap times back and forth for a while, but now for the past 3 or 4, Jason's been about half a tenth faster. So if we stay green, Jason may eventually run him down. If he keeps this up, you know.
Yeah, if he does keep it up. If caution comes out, it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out at that point, because you can't take tires. So you know you pretty much got what you got here. And Ian Lane is. Well, the gap's coming down just a little bit. Miller's clicking a tenth off here and there. And at that rate, he will be able to catch him.
Yeah, it's looking like he's about a tenth and a half better there on that last lap. Well, you know, Jason may have been taking care of his stuff a little earlier on. Ian might be getting tight in the center. I haven't watched him too close lately. Yeah, he's kind of late getting back to the throttle. He might be getting tight, allowing Jason to catch him a little more quickly.
Yeah, he may have to move around here on the racetrack just a little bit, maybe try to find some more grip elsewhere. Joining us up here in the booth is Bill Martin. Bill, you had a good qualifying lap. We seen your qualifying lap, and then you decided to just destroy your car into one, so you don't have to worry about inspection. But you had a good qualifying run. You've been talking with your teammate here, and Joe Schaefer Jr., about the build and so forth. And you ran with us last night as well. And, you know, me and you and Matt kind of talking back and forth on kind of what we felt about the car and everything. And, you know, how do you think that your race set will be for next week after especially watching here Ian and Lane dominating so far?
I don't know. We did a lot of testing. Majeski came on and joined us. He came up with something that I hadn't tried yet. What I had was working, but like you heard in the room, we were talking about cambers a lot.
Yep.
And my ideas just, they weren't working out. They were fine for 15 laps, and then after that I just get my butt handed to me, so I had to start over. Majeski had some ideas. We worked with his. He kicked our butts. And I think we have something that's competitive now, and Drew's using it right now. He's taking it really easy because the goal is just to make the race at this point. But I think in the right hands, it's probably capable of going for a win. But it's easy to say that, not knowing how everyone else is doing. Not a lot of people have tested yet at all, where that's all I've done is test the race setup. I mean, we made the qualifying one, but I've been focusing primarily on the race setup. It's just a hell of a lot more important. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's, we got a week to figure it out for most of these guys. Zine Lane scrapes the wall getting into 4. He's trying a different line here as his lead's getting cut down slowly but surely by Jason Miller. Yeah, I asked Joe if Drew had a setup in there for you also. I guess once he's done with this race, you'll be able to get some good feedback and data on tire temps and pressures and so forth, and what he felt in the car, and maybe you can make some adjustments and contend for the win next week.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, this is the longest that setup has gone, and he's running down Michael Goddard in 4th, but looks like he has now backed off. We'll see. I think the setup is better than I've showed and better than I've tested. I just have to kind of adjust my driving style, because you used to be able to just send this thing off into the corners and then jump back on the throttle and fly. You can't really do that so much anymore, so it's going to take a lot of practice laps to get me back in it, and these guys are probably, some of these guys racing tonight are probably learning that the hard way if they're starting to get tight or they're slowing down big time.
Yeah, Jason Miller's got it with under 2 seconds now at 1.9 seconds to the lead. And just behind him is A.J. Rogers, about 4.2 seconds behind Jason Miller. So, a little distance there, as this battle for the lead will end up tightening up here before too long. And, everyone's learning, with these last chance qualifier guys, they're getting some extra race laps in here, which always helps. And like I said, the top 6 get the move on, and they'll be in the show for next week for 150 laps of Sim Marketing Solutions Super Late Model Series action. Now, next week is a different story, and after that, we'll look forward just a little bit to Oxford Plains Speedways. Completely different track, completely just, different setup, probably as a whole. BNC build just came out. We've all been trying to test here at Phoenix, which isn't the most ideal track to, get a good base set going. But hopefully by then, the car, we kind of get them figured out. Maybe iRacing makes a few changes as well. We'll have some really, really, really good battles, as one is starting to pick up here. Jason Miller's got it down to 1.83 seconds. So knowing what you know now, as far as how the car is, we're about a third of the way through the season. Currently almost halfway through the season. What do you expect, or do you think that we're going to see some fast or new fast guys up front, or you think it'll just be the same old, you got the same guys who are fast, or just going to be fast?
Well, the guys who are going to be fast are going to be the guys that can test all day and don't have to work. So probably pretty much the same guys who are fast now. It's going to be one of those things where it may take longer for everything to even out. I mean, this season, we'll see what happens. If we can get everybody back on the same page like we were before, and with the new contact box, with the way you can now race these cars even closer, I think the racing will eventually be better in the long run. But for now, I guess it's kind of a wait and see.
Well, we got all the time in the world, and we'll be able to wait and see how it ends up working out. Bill, I appreciate you coming up here, bud. You've made some awesome throwback paint schemes there. Seen it on Facebook. You got a lot. Got even a like from Mark Martin himself. Joe, I think you were racing yours here tonight. For qualifying. It looked good. Before we get you on your way here a little bit, we're going to get David Kokorian in here, get his 2 cents on his qualifying run and maybe what he expects for his race set. Is there any things or shout outs you'd like to give Bill just before we get you on your way, and you can go annoy the hell out of Matt?
Well, I'm going to first thank you for putting me in that room to annoy Matt.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have to say thanks to Ty Majeski. He really teed me off after making a setup very, very, very quickly and just trumping all over mine. Just totally took a big old dump right on top of my setup. And my entire day, well, not entire day, but I spent a lot of time on it. It was just junk compared to what he made. So yeah, we started adjusting on his. So big thanks to him for being smarter than the rest of us. And thanks to Joe for driving the paint job. And thanks to David Krikorian for having a cool last name.
All right, well, it's Bill Martin, Bud. We'll catch you next week. Good luck next week in the Race1.us Copper World Summer Classic, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right. That's Bill Martin, and currently we got David Krikorian with us. DK, he had a good qualifying run here. He qualified 4th for next week's race, just on the outside of your teammate there in Tim Bills. We spoke to him earlier about his qualifying run. So for yours, you just missed out on it just barely. So did you mess up, or where were you missing out of the car just to put it at P1?
I missed a little bit on entry in 1 and 2. Got a good exit though, saved the lap, but I think we could have maybe had something for Zach if I had gotten into 1 right, because we had a really good 3 and 4.
Well, you're in the show, so you don't have to worry about the last chance qualifying race, as we're still watching Ian Lane here, and he's pulled out the lead to 1.83 seconds here once again. He's coming up on lap down traffic, and we spoke about it a little bit before, how it is kind of hard to pass, so we'll see what he does here in the lap down traffic. But going into next week, DK, it's 150 laps. You got a lot of fast guys, brand new build. Have you worked on a race set at all? And if you have, what do you think you expect out of it, or where do you think you excel at so far with this new build?
Considering that Donald right now is trying something remotely close to a race that I'm going to say we haven't even tried yet.
Well, you got a week to figure it out. That's what I keep telling everyone. Seems like a lot of people have a lot of Q sets in, just expecting to try to get something down, as Mark Royer is going to stay high for Ian Lane here, as we're on lap 47 to 75. But you got a week to figure it out. We spoke with Bill Martin, and Joe's in here, and they had Tom Majeski's help in trying to figure out a setup, and they think maybe they've caught on to something here in a little bit. I know us at T4X kind of hit on something pretty quick. It still needs work ourselves. So there at Will and Dillon Motorsports, you got you and Tim, you got Donald. You think y'all can get it figured out by next week?
I don't know. It might take a little more time, but we figure out something for tonight at least. So I mean, there's hope.
Well, there's always hope. You're always fast. The week after next, we're at Oxford Plains. A little short track, so we'll definitely have a different setup and a different outlook on these cars in this build. But like I said, you qualified 4th here tonight. Great qualifying run on your part. And we look forward to seeing you there next week in the Copper World Summer Classic. Before we get you on your way, is there any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give before you go back up there and hang out with Matt and watch the end of this race?
Thank Tim and Donald and Wheel and Dillon for all the work we've been doing trying to get this thing right. You ever watch the movie Armageddon, where at the end the cosmonaut freaking started hitting the damn shuttle with the wrench trying to get it turned on? It's basically what we do with our setup.
Well, it worked out for you for qualifying. Maybe it'll work out for you next week, and good luck to you, and we'll keep an eye on it for you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's David Krikorian. As we're watching Ian Lane going past Kyle Souza. Souza slowed way down here after he got that damage early on. He's just out here trying to make some laps. Ian Lane's dominating the night. Now his lead was up to 1.8, and it's kind of ballooned back down here a little bit to 1.6. And Joe, it's kind of maintained here, and Miller's kind of shrunk the lead, and it's kind of growing out a little bit, and we're running out of laps here. Do you think he has enough time to catch him?
Well, he's going to need a mistake from Ian. He hasn't been nearly as quick as I thought he would. Ian's praying this thing stays green. If Jason gets a caution and a good restart, I'd be curious to see what would happen with them headed off into turn 1 side by side. But for right now, I think Ian's going to have it handled if we stay green.
Yeah, the lap times are pretty comparable here. I mean, Miller was only just a few thousandths faster than Lane the last time, so he's not taking out as much as he would like to narrow down that lead. I mean, we got 23 laps left in this last chance qualifier, so anything can still happen. As you know, these cars are hard right now. They're hard. If you get crossed up in them, you're pretty much spinning. So one little mistake by Ian Lane, and if he's able to save it, I mean, that'll allow Miller to catch right back up to him, and we'll have a heck of a battle here for the win.
Yeah, it's the last race we did together, the Irwindale LCQ, that one was far more exciting. Everybody tonight's kind of just falling into line. You don't have any great transfer position battles like we had at Irwindale. It's pretty much has been the Ian Lane show tonight.
You know, everybody may not appreciate the Ian Lane show besides Ian Lane. Let's go ahead and let's get a couple laps here of cranking it up so we can hear some bald eagles scream and see what these super late models sound like with a little bit more power underneath the hood since the new build. Two laps there with Ian Lane. Listen to these cars, they sound pretty good. And his lead getting smaller at 1.3 seconds. Miller is catching him. He's running lap 57 of 75. If you're Ian Lane, the best thing that you can do at this point is don't even look in your rear view mirror. Just try to make your laps and hang on.
That's right. And you got to be as consistent as possible without ruining the car, because maybe did he slip up on those last two laps? I missed him. I wasn't watching him that close.
No, Miller was just faster. I was paying attention to it there, and Miller was just fast. Miller was down in the twos there a few laps, so he was knocking out tenths of a second as they've kind of evened out here on this lap. We'll see what ends up happening, but it's down to 1.2, so I mean he keeps just chipping away at it little by little.
Yeah, I see that they were nearly identical last time. That may be a situation where Ian was kind of taking it easy and Jason was stepping on it, and Ian took a look at his relative and stepped on it himself. But that time, I guess he slowed down a little. Miller was faster by a tenth. I guess we'll see. He's got 15 laps, 16 laps to do it.
Yeah, he's running out of time, that's for sure, because as we stated early on, it's one thing to catch them, it's another thing to pass them. Super hard to pass, so we'll see if he's able to do it at all. Now, last night, Miller ran out of gas, as stated earlier, and coming to the white flag lap, so he learned his lesson on how many laps he can go on a tank of fuel, and he didn't put all 22 in, so I'm sure, hopefully he did it here tonight. No one sold themselves short. That's another thing to keep an eye on. If they were expecting any cautions and they didn't put all, I think you need 21 to make it 75 laps. And if they didn't put all the fuel in there, they may run out. So we might get some green flag pit stops. That'd be pretty wild to watch.
Oh, I hope not, for their sake. That would really suck to be riding in a transfer spot and miss the number on fuel and need to stop. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I guess it could.
It definitely can. Now, with these cars here, they don't get as much of a draft or anything, but there definitely is one. You can get a little tow from them going down these pretty long straightaways here for Super Late models. And Miller's almost within a second here now with 12 laps to go, 13 laps to go. He might be able to get to his rear bumper. I doubt he does anything to, move him or bump him or anything like that, because these two guys are locked into the show. AJ Rogers is third, Michael Goddard is fourth, and Drew Kryback is fifth, and Matthew Eddy is the last transfer spot, and he's got a good little cushion there from Donald Clark. So we're watching Ian Lane here just dominate as Jason Miller is starting to close in the gap once again. He's about a half a tenth faster there. It's a little over half a tenth faster. So he's definitely pulling him in, but he may run out of time.
Yeah, I don't think Jason's the type to move him. But if he starts getting bigger and bigger in Ian's mirror, Ian may make a mistake, and that might be all that Jason needs to get a fender on him or get door to door.
Yeah, well, it's got a note in my ear saying some of the pepperoni grease from Ian's rear bumper is starting to fall off. It's not hitting Jason Miller's car, as he's still a little bit faster than Ian Lane. If anything, Ian, or not Ian, but Jason Miller might be hungry. He's going after him. Now they're going to be catching lap down traffic here with Russell Berry before too long, probably within the next 2 to 3 laps. We'll see if that holds up, Ian. Right now, I know it was for me last night, like eventually you're going to need the whole track to make a decent lap time. And if he catches Russell Berry in the wrong spot, that's really going to allow Jason Miller to catch up.
Yeah, I think Russell will be well aware of what's going on behind him. I believe he's going to give Ian plenty of room. And I guess they could catch him by surprise, or Ian could slip trying to deviate his line going by. But I think Russell's going to be more than accommodating if Ian gets there.
Yeah, we'll see, as it's down to 0.8 of a second. So Miller's really taking chunks, sometimes more than 1 or 1.5 tenths of a second out of the lead. But if you're Ian Lane, you're just, right now you just got on cruise control. You may see Miller just out of the top of your screen. He's running a different line of 3 and 4. He's running about a lane and a half higher than Ian Lane is. And that's where he's making up his time, is he's a 0.5 tenth faster there once again.
Yeah, the track may be a little bit cooler up there. Feels better on the tires, because the tires by now, 67 laps green, they got to be screaming.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing there on him at this point. But Miller's, he's throwing it into the turns like there's no tomorrow. He's down to 0.7 of a second now. And he's really making up a lot of time on entry on Ian. Ian pulls it away just a little bit down the straight, but not as much as I would think for how deep Miller's driving it in.
Yeah, Miller's really ran this race like an old wily veteran, I guess you could say. He was way behind, and it looked like there was no chance of catching him. But here we are, 6 laps to go, and he's within striking distance and gaining. So, that's exactly how you want to do it. So we'll see if it pays off for him.
Well, you got to think how much time he lost during that big slide into one when him and Kyle Souza made contact. Oh, as Miller gets loose out too, he's definitely pushing the car. But he lost a ton of time sliding.
Right there.
It may have, as he dropped a 10th there just from doing that, but he's not going to give up. And see, this is where Ian Lane, he's calling Russell Berry. We'll see what Berry does here for him. May not give him any breaks, or he may just stay up high here. No. Berry sent it in. He's running his own line. Ian's going to find a way around him. This is what, if you're Jason Miller, this is what you want.
Yeah, even with that big slide, Miller was only about 0.5 tenth slower than Ian.
Yeah, he didn't lose a lot of time at all. Right now, he's gaining it, if anything. So Russell Berry's just pretty much not giving way here to Ian. And it's going to be hard for Ian to pass him. I know he's faster than Russell, but I'm telling you right now, with the way things are and these tires are gone, it is super hard to pass. And if Berry's going to stay up high there as he kind of throws it into 1 and 2 a little too hard, but Ian's got to stay low. And just like that, it's down to a 0.5 second. As we're down to 5 to go, coming to 4 to go.
I think Russell tried to give Ian the bottom last time
and
by.
Ian pushes up a little bit.
Well, here we go. About to be a race.
We'll see if Russell, if he lets Miller get by him, or if Miller just, makes his way by him, not having to worry about it. Russell's giving no damn who's around him. As they're going to catch up to Mark Royer, too. This is going to get interesting, I think. Royer will probably pull out of the way a lot easier than Russell Berry will. But Miller's going to get his way around Berry here into 3 and 4 as we're going to come to 3 to go. And, yeah, Mark Royer's going to stay low. Berry's still fighting Miller. Miller's having a hard way to go. He's probably cursing right now. There, Berry finally goes up the track. Now it's just down to these two guys, a 0.5 second. 3 to go. See if he can do it.
Yeah, they really needed to clear those lap cars about 5 laps ago for Jason to have a better shot. I think a couple slips going through traffic, and yeah, I think it's going to be too late unless Ian makes a mistake. Ian was faster that lap by 300ths. I think Ian's going to take it.
We're going down the backstretch here with 2 to go here at Phoenix International Raceway for the Race1.us last chance qualifying race for qualifying night. Coming to the white flag, 1 to go. Ian Lane has pretty much dominated this race. Jason Miller's reeled him in from about a 3-second lead down to 0.3 of a second. Ian Lane comes out at 2, nice and square, down the backstretch into the dog leg as they head off into turn 3. Miller throws it down in there, just trying to do everything he can, but it won't be enough. Coming out of turn 4 for tonight's last chance qualifying race, Ian Lane will be your winner, followed by Jason Miller. And 10 seconds behind them is Michael Goddard with AJ Rogers, Drew Kryback, and Matthew Eddy will be your final transfer spot here tonight and make it into next week's 150 lap race here at Race1.us for the Copper World Summer Classic. So congratulations to Ian Lane making it in there. We spoke to him earlier. He thought he had a pretty decent race set, and he went lying as he led the most laps here tonight. He only gained 1 position as he started second. He just barely missed making it in on time for the top 20. Led 74 out of 75 laps here. Never looked back once he started getting away, but Jason Miller was giving him a race there towards the end. And like you stated, Joe, if they would have cleared him about 5 laps earlier, we might be talking about a different winner.
Yeah, you could tell Jason was driving the wheels off of it to try to catch him at the end. Ian really took that front row starting spot and made the most of it. He got far enough ahead to make it difficult for Jason to get him. Obviously, Jason was probably hoping for a caution, but we went 75 laps green.
Yeah, it was a green to checkered race. You know, everyone kept it clean outside of AJ Rogers getting a little help there, a nice little drift, and then Souza got the old tap from AJ Rogers and a racing deal there. What appeared to be a racing deal. Didn't bring out a caution, and the field kind of spread out from there, and rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, I think a caution would have made the finish a little tense. I was kind of hoping for it. Somebody might have thrown a water bottle out on the track or something. I think seeing Jason and Ian head off into turn 1 with 5 to go, racing for the win side by side would have been exciting.
Oh, it would have definitely been some action-packed racing if that was the case, but it wasn't. So we'll go ahead and bring up the results here and go through and show where everyone finished. Like I stated, Ian Lane came away with the win. Jason Miller coming in second. Michael Goddard in third. AJ Rogers in fourth. Drew Kryback in fifth. Matthew Eddy, your last transfer spot, in sixth. Donald Clark in seventh. Scott Dunlap in eighth. Ninth was Russell Berry. 10th was Kyle Souza. And 11th was Mark Royer. So there will be 2 provisionals for the guys that are in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. However that plays out, I'm not 100% sure. That's for Matt Rolfe to figure out. We'll have it figured out by next week's race. Like I said, for next Wednesday in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series, the final 2 spots on the grid will go to next week's Contender Series winners. So there'll be a lot of cars that'll try to make it on the race for that, to try to make it in for Thursday night's race for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series for 150 laps at the Copper World Summer Classic. Joe, I appreciate you coming up here in the booth with me, bud. And it's always a pleasure when you come up here and we talk about the race. And we'll go ahead and talk about next week. Like I said, you got a week to figure out the set. We've talked to a bunch of guys before. You know, they really don't know what they have, but it does appear that your teammate there, Tom Majeski, is giving you something to work with. So what do you expect for next week for this race?
Well, for me personally, I got Drew on the case. I had him sending me his tire information from that 75 lap run.
And what was it?
The numbers looked good. They looked about like what I was expecting or what I was hoping for. It's a
Yeah.
Majeski setup. It's gonna run strong. Problem is that a lot of times what Majeski can drive fast, some of us can't, and myself included. So I'm gonna be putting in a lot of laps this week. I'm a little bit concerned that track position is going to be immensely important, especially with this being a tire race. As we saw at the at the end of that race, I mean, sure, Jason was catching Ian, but if he would have got there, would he have been able to pass him? Because it kind of seemed like that bottom lane was pretty worn out. And it's hard to get a run to somebody's high side. So I think it's going to be a battle of track position and whoever makes the fewest amount of mistakes. Because really, based on what I've seen, I mean, obviously there wasn't a ton of cars on the track tonight to put rubber down and really heat it up. But it's really feels like you're going to need to make your moves on restarts or make them early. So I guess I'm not going to deviate from my usual plan. I'm just going to make something that's try to balance good speed and stability and show up and just run my race.
Well, we look forward to it. You're generally always fast, and even on your off nights, you're usually running there in the top 10 without any issues. So, good luck to you next week, and you're one of the many drivers we'll keep an eye out on, and maybe we will be talking to you in Victory Lane.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do it for Dale.
All right, bud.
Thank you. We'll see you guys.
Yep, that's Joe Schaefer Jr. And like I said, we'll keep an eye on him for him next week. We'll go ahead and pull up the sponsors before we get out of here tonight. Give them another shout out. As I always state, and I mean it when I always say this, we cannot do it without them. They help pay the bills. So Sim Marketing Solution, who is a series sponsor here tonight. Davis Chassis Works for our Contender Series on Wednesday nights. Heinz Pride Leather and Sheepskin. Midwest Power Source. Callaway Investments. Race1.us, who's sponsored here tonight for Qualifying Night and will be the sponsor for next week for the Copper World Summer Classic here at Phoenix. Canadian Rail Serve, the Hub Used Sim Racing Giveaways, Loco Toco Designs, Dynamic Auto Sports, USO, Can-Am Racing Series, East West Modifieds. That's going to do it here for tonight for the 75 lap last chance qualifier here at Phoenix International Raceway. Next week, Zach Novak will be leading everyone to green at 150 laps. There will be an extra set of tires in that race. We usually don't run tires here or let you get tires, but next week there will be, so I'll throw in a wrench in everyone's plan and when to take tires and when not. And as we heard with Joe Schaefer Jr., who's a 3-time series champion, he thinks track position is going to be everything, so maybe those tires won't play out after all. But you'll have to come back next week and join us to find out. I was your host here tonight, Derek Robinson. Producers Clay Snyder. Thanks to Matt Rolfe again as well for the Sim Auto Racing Association. This is SARA TV. You all have a good night.